Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant. This is your host of Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Thank you guys so much for all the new followers. Thank you so much, or subscribers, sorry. Thank you so much for joining this channel, joining this tribe and this support group. Thank you so much. I'm getting some information while I'm talking at the same time. But thank you guys so much for being here and finding something valuable that I have to say that will help you in your journey of, first of all, discovery, in your journey of recovery, and then for some of you in your journey of escape. Thank you so much for all the comments, and thank you guys. As you know, my book is now out and it's live, so you can go to Amazon.com. Go to my community channel. I have the link there. It is Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection, or you can also put my name in there, Carmen M. Bryant. And it should show up. It's a guy has a mask in his face. So it's a white blue book, and it has a man with a mask on his face. And for those of you that let me know that you are in different countries, so you're having problems getting the book shipped to different countries, I went to the publisher site, and the publisher let me know that you can order it from the publisher site. Go to the community tab, but I'll also put it in the, when you look at the video, it should be in the write-up in the video. Just hit that little arrow, and I'm going to put it in the video, but it's www.westbowpress. So it's WESTBOWPRESS.com. So it's westbowpress.com. So www, and then it's westbowpress.com. And when you go on their site, you'll see at the very top it says bookstore. So when you click on bookstore, you'll see bestsellers, and on the other side you'll see new releases, and then you'll see my book over in the new releases. It's Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection, and you can click and you can purchase through the publisher. So let me know. So I know some of you guys are in the Philippines. I think someone said that they are in, I don't know if you said Malaysia, but Amazon wouldn't ship in your area. So go to westbowpress.com and order the book from there, and let me know. And if you can't get it there, let me know in the comments, and I will make sure that once I get some books in my hand, you guys can just purchase it from me, and I will send it to you, and I will actually write something in the book for you. But remember, usually they send you like this limited amount of copies, so I have to go back and purchase some more copies to be able to resell the copies to you. So if you want something written in it, you're either welcome to I'll put my P.O. box in there too. If you want some, but you're gonna be responsible for the postage, okay? So I'm gonna send it back, but you're gonna pay for your own postage. But if you want me to write in your book, you are also welcome to send it to me with a return address and return postage, and I will send it back to you. I'll write something in your book, and I will send it back to you if you like. If you are in the local area, you are welcome. Well, I would invite you to my office, but I have clients. You can't just come to my office but we'll set up a book launching party somehow or another where I can sign the books for you if that's what you would like. But if I get the books to me and you want to purchase them directly from me, I will let you guys know when I have them, okay? Other than that, please go to Amazon, share it with your family, or go to Westbow Press and share it with your families and friends. Give it to somebody. Give it to somebody that needs to know what it's like. Now, for those kings out there, I really encourage you to buy the book, even though this particular book is about the women that have been through it. But I want you to see how they were thinking and what was said, because some of you have daughters, and this is to help you safeguard your daughters as well. But the whole thing, anything that you see in there, a lot of you men can relate to this as well. So it's not just for the women. It just so happened that all the examples that are in there are women. But now that I have men that can tell their stories, I will make sure to include that information, because the next book is not based on, women experiences. It will be general information. So please go and support. Make sure somebody gets this book. You don't know who you're helping, and to let them know that they're not crazy. So today I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk about when the narcissist uses your children. to hurt you. So some of you have children, some of you have younger children, some of you have adult children, some of you in and out of court, going through the court process and everything. You remember that I told you guys that a narcissist doesn't see a child as a child like you do. Whatever we decide to call normal nowadays, but non-narcissistic people. So a narcissist does not see children the way that you see children. A narcissist sees a child as a source of supply, a fresh source of supply. And that's why I tell you guys too, not all narcissists are pedophiles, but just because a person has narcissistic personality disorder doesn't mean that they don't have any other disorder. They can have schizophrenia, they can have autism, they can have most narcissists do have post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, all those. Some of them are cognitively or intellectually delayed, which in the original book or the DSM, the Manual for Mental Health Disorders, previously it was called mild, moderate, or severe retardation. Well, because people take that word and make it a negative, they change it to cognitive and intellectual, I think there's one more, but cognitive and intellectual delays. And so there are narcissists that, have these issues. Some of them do have schizophrenia, some of them do have other mental health disorders, but a lot of narcissists, they blend in society and you don't know what you're dealing with because they look like the average normal. That's why most of you guys were shocked when you found out that the person was a narcissist, because there's no possible way. They have a good job, and some of them can hold down a job. So, they're loved within the community. That's why my book is called Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. And then it says narcissist abuse, abused by the esteemed, because most people don't assume that they will be abused by an individual that people love, that people admire, that are wonderful within the community. They blend in the community, but then when you go into their private lives at home, it's a total nightmare. And this is what the stories are for some of those women, the nightmare that they experience behind closed doors. And then by the time police officers arrive at a house, and I'm not saying it's right, don't do it. But a lot of times by the time a police officer arrives to the house and the victim has shot their tormentor, these women or men end up going to prison, and men as well. They end up going to prison, but they have no idea what kind of psychological damage has been done. And not only that, imagine the psychological damages being done to the children, because the children are also pawns in this chess game that they're playing. Chess, if those of you that play chess, my kids taught me how to play chess one time, and I liked it because it's a game of strategy. You have to think. I need to go back and start playing again. But they taught me how to play. But these two, my two older ones, my adult kids, these two used to cheat, make up their own rules until I figured out they were cheating. So they were making up their own rules while they're playing with me. But, it's a game of strategy. You have to outthink your opponent. And the whole thing is to get the queen, that sounds good, huh? To get the queen. Okay, kings, you guys too, you guys are relevant. Don't, it just happened to be, hey, that's how they made the chess game. You got to get the queen, So you get the queen, you tear down the kingdom because the king needs a queen, and you tear down the kingdom because they co-rule together. But I know I'm not making that any better, but but in the game of chess, it's a game of strategy. It's a game of thinking. And that's how the narcissist sees their world. Everybody is a pawn, and they play a specific role on this chessboard. And the kids are those little tiny, I don't know what they call little pawns. The kids are the little pawns. And they use these children, and they know that you value the children. And so remember in another video that I did, that they will use whatever you value. They'll destroy things that you value. They'll go after the things you value. Well, what do you value the most? You value your children. They know you value your children. And so what they'll do is they use these kids to hurt you. And so if you go no contact, and being a parent and having to counter-parent, you're trying to co-parent, they're counter-parenting. So everything you do, they do totally opposite of, because of the fact that they know that'll make you mad. They know for a fact that that you will get angry, and it's gonna trigger you to react or say anything to them. They want a reaction, or they want you to respond, positive or negative fuel. So they'll do things. I had one lady show me where when he was hoovering a new source of supply, this individual was addicted to pornography, really heavy into pornography, and the new source supply, to get him away from the primary source of supply, basically his wife, what she would do is play into that pornography. So she would send like pornographic pictures, it could be random pornographic pictures or pornographic pictures, and would make little comments to him. Well, what he did is because the primary source, I guess they were going through a divorce or whatever, chose not to have contact with him, period. What he did is sent the picture to the child. And so he knew that he had sent the picture to the child, so he immediately called the wife and began to apologize. And by then, the wife was livid and let him have it. But he got his fuel. You see how devious they are? Do you see that they don't care what they do, what kind of boundaries they cross? They'll do things like they're angry with you about child support, court proceedings, anything. And so what they'll do is they inappropriately have a conversation with your children, even young children, about how much money she's sending him or how much money he's sending her, or whatever the case is. They'll have a whole conversation because their whole thing is to manipulate the child to become their flying monkey, to be a part of their court, so that they can fight against you, the evil witch or the evil warlock, the Wizard of Oz or whatever. But they recruit these kids and they groom their own children to come up against you because you got away. You won't talk to them. You won't interact with them. They're not winning at the game. Remember, everything is competitive. They're not winning at the game. How dare you not talk to me? How dare you get away and be free? How dare you lose weight? How dare you get a job? How dare you become someone? How dare you figure out that you have worth? How dare you? Because they're projecting themselves onto you. And so when you finally put the responsibility back on them, they fight you whatever dirty way that they can fight you. And a lot of times it's through your children. Those of you that have adult kids, a lot of times, what I tell my clients is, number one, when you're dealing with domestic violence and when you're dealing with the legal system and even child protective services, calling child protective services, everything is about neglect, which is very relevant. Neglect, not feeding them, rejecting the kids, what else? Physical abuse, but no one ever talks about the psychological abuse. They may mention it and they even teach it, psychological abuse. But where is the accountability? Where is, how do we prove this? Because there are some countries, I don't know if it was England or New Zealand, somebody sent me the information where, when I was looking it up, and I think some states where psychological abuse is illegal and you can be, taken to court or whatever. But the problem is how do you prove it? Because now you're dealing with a narcissist, and a narcissist is good at the game that they play. So their manipulation and their psychological abuse, is undetected. You can't tell. By the time a man or a woman has been, especially men, it's harder for men to go and tell someone that you're being psychologically abused because they look at men and assume, you're a punk. That's exactly. Come on, I'm just keeping it real, y'all. You know what? How you let a woman run over you? You're a man. And don't be a big man. You're a man. How can you let a woman run up? But they don't realize how vicious a female narcissist can be. And kings, I understand how vicious a female narcissist can be. They can be very manipulative, very dramatic. They play on them feminine roles. Oh my gosh, they can be the Academy Award winning actresses. Oh my God, I know. Brothers, I know kings. And men are more, they're vicious and they use a lot of the strength and they use their intellect. And so, but, how do you prove that to the court system? How do you prove that even in domestic violence, you're teaching them the cycle of domestic violence and abuse, but no one knows or understands. They say narcissist abuse, but people are using that term narcissist. That's a narcissist. Even the teenagers are using it. That's a narcissist. They're throwing it out and hurling it as an insult. Within the teen years, it's pretty evident, it's pretty common when you're dealing with teenagers. This is a part of their growth process where they're kind of arrogant. They're very competitive. The girls, they just, and the guys are very competitive in sports, and they, I got to get the best girl. I got to get the head cheerleader. I got to, the girls like I'm dating the head football, player. The jock. Some of this behavior is very normal in the process of growth for teenagers, and I'm going to do another video on being able to distinguish the difference between the normal process of growth and dysfunctional growth, where you need to start paying attention to whether or not you're dealing with a narcissistic child, because as they get older, it gets worse. But think about it. You got this narcissist that's grooming your kids. grooming your kids to be their flying monkey, grooming your kids, and what I tell people is that the one thing that you guys have to make sure you don't do, as hurt as you are, and I know this is a very hard process, as hurt as you are, do not talk about the other parent, the narcissistic parent, in front of the child. Always make sure you say good things about them, but we know what you're going through. You come on here and you talk to us, but when you get around your kids, especially young kids, because remember, they are the absent parent. They're the parent that's not in the home, whether it's female or male, because there are men that have custody of their children and doing an awesome job in raising their men, raising these young girls and boys into awesome men and women. And so I commend each one of you fathers that play a significant role in your children's lives. And fathers do understand when we talk about these queens, it takes a strong man to raise up a queen, and really when you look at women that are very confident and very sound and very strong, let you know they had a very strong male presence in their life, because sometimes the fathers were absent, but maybe a brother took over, an uncle took over, or a grandfather took over, but there was a strong male presence to encourage her, to tell her what she is. When you hear that coming from a man, that's why I love Bishop R.C. Blakes, because he really speaks to the women, and he gives that voice. As Bishop T.D. Jakes, you have Apostle Ron Carpenter, you have Bishop R.C. Blakes. All these men empower women, and they give these women the voice, the father voice that they didn't hear in their life, and they encourage them. And men, I want you to know, I want to encourage you, because your voice matters in our lives. And I don't mean that from a narcissist voice. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the narcissist. But what I'm saying is when you have strong brothers, when you have strong uncles, and you have strong grandfathers and fathers in these women's life, that is what creates a strong woman. That's what creates a woman that's not out there looking for an absent father. And so the thing about it is even with the narcissist, when you have a narcissistic father, for example, they're still absent, because they do the same thing they do to you. They hoover their children, they love bomb their kids, and then they discard them. Their cycle is the same. They don't change. Just because they have an intimate relationship with you, female or male, they do the exact same cycle with those children. And for a child growing up with narcissistic parents, some of you have narcissistic parents, it is so dysfunctional. It is so heartbreaking, because these kids love their parents. They don't know that their parents are dysfunctional. And so the hardest thing for some of you mothers and fathers is that you have the kids with you at all times. And so you're thinking, I'm doing all this for you. I love you. I'm up when you're sick, and I'm doing this. But yet, you love this other parent, this absent parent, and you vow your allegiance to this other parent. And I'm the one that did. Yeah. Well, they search for something that's not there. So you're there all the time. Of course you love them, and you continue to do that, and don't speak negative of the other parent. You come on here and say whatever you want to say, but when you're dealing with the kids, you don't, because eventually what'll happen is, which some of you guys even said, and take it from your own experience, is that as you grew up, you begin to notice their behaviors. You begin to notice that something is not right. And some kids actually said that they, and I've met them, that they just couldn't tolerate the parent anymore. They knew something was wrong, and some of them were like, with this idiot. Okay, I'm not saying that's right, but I knew something was wrong, and all I wanted to do is get as far away as I could from her or from him. Sometimes it's the mother. The mothers are competitive with the daughters, or they always have to, degrade the daughters. But a lot of them grew up, and they don't want to have anything to do with the parent. And so this is what we're hoping for, because right now, the biggest thing that we have to do is get this education out to the police department. Some police departments know. And I had a viewer on here to say that she lives kind of in a small community, and the police department understands narcissist abuse. They understood. They knew the signs and symptoms. They knew the game that was being played. I was so happy for her. This is what we need to get to the rest of the police departments and the law enforcement agencies and the legal department and the domestic violence, because the domestic violence, the shelters, the YWCAs, they're teaching about domestic violence. And so they're hitting on a lot of the, the cycle of abuse. You got the honeymoon phase, you got the tension building phase, you have the blow up phase, so they talk about these. They talk about the behaviors. They talk about the different types of abusers, but they're not in detail when it comes to an abuser that has narcissistic personality disorder or the traits. Those that lack empathy. They don't have the ability to feel and are compassionate, and the detrimental, the carnage and the abuse they cause in these children, where they mentally, some kids, as my mentor was saying, is that some narcissistic parents create empaths. because the kids become empaths. And then some narcissistic parents end up creating narcissistic children because these kids are damaged and wounded. And some narcissistic parents are actually pedophiles who don't see their children as separate from them. They look at them as their belongings. They look at them as a piece of themselves, an extension of themselves, so they don't have a problem molesting their own children. And my advice to you guys, is to document everything. Whenever they do visitations, document their behavior change. When people start mentioning, ask them to send you letters and messages on how they change, what is going on. Inform them. You don't want to inform them where you don't be reactive. Don't, because by the time police officers get to a home, who's the person that they're going to arrest? The person that is totally out of control. Who's usually totally out of control? The person that was being abused. And guess what the narcissist is doing? They're calm and collective. And I've seen females do the same thing, fall out on the floor like somebody hit them with the Mack truck. Back in the day, you were talking about the boxer that punched his wife. Now, this boxer was one of the most powerful boxers of his time. If he would have punched his wife in the face, he would have broke all. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't abusing her. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he wasn't abusing her. But the way that she said that he had beat her up, is no way possible that he could have beat her up the way that he said it. She said that he beat her up. I'm not saying he wasn't abusing her, but I'm just saying, but the way that was said that she was being beat up, is no possible way that she could have been beat up like that. And so I'm not taking away the story, because it's possible he probably was abusing. Yes, I don't take that away. So I don't discredit the actress for coming out and saying anything. It probably but by the time the police officers come, and by the time a lot of the women go, or sometimes even the men, by the time you go to tell the story, your anxiety level is up to here. Even in the court system, when you go into courts, the judges don't want you out of control. They don't want you all over the place, even if that's how you feel. And that's what the domestic violence advocates and legal advocates are supposed to be telling you. You got to calm down. My friend is a domestic violence advocate in the King County area, and that's what she teaches her clients when she works. She understands narcissist abuse, and so she teaches her clients when she goes to court with them and everything. She teaches them, do not react. But the courtroom is the biggest area to play, for a narcissist, and they manipulate. And so, as I was saying, they do use the children. They do things. A lot of times they'll do things and they'll use the kids to get to you. You are the target. You're the one who hurt them. The child hasn't done anything to them, but they know that if they get through the child, first of all, you're upset that they're going through the child, and second of all, they know they can hurt you even more. But the child will show you, for example, sending pictures of their new family. What they don't realize they're doing is that they're damaging the child, because guess what the child is doing? You left me and you have another family. You don't even love me. So it's emotional damaging for that child. Always sending pictures of them and their new supply, and their children. How does that make a child feel? They feel abandoned. They feel rejected. Or if they have children with the new supply, and then they send them pictures of the new supply, what do you think the child is thinking? But the attempt is to get you to respond, and you're not responding. They're getting frustrated, so they do more and more of it. But what they're doing is they're damaging that child, and they could care less. It's all about them. They don't see anybody else's feeling. It's all about them. Now, when you talk to them, they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna get better. And you'll see like a different change, but they're manipulators. They know how to move the characters on the chessboard to make it work the way they want to. And usually when you're telling them about something, you're telling them their next move. You're telling them what the script is in the movie, what the next script is in the movie. And that's what they do. That's how they learn. They're like an android. They observe, they watch emotions, they watch people cry, and they watch, and then they practice. Do you know that there are some narcissists, you have public speakers that teach other people how to speak, and they tell them to go into the mirror and then watch your facial expression. They talk about hand movements, because I use a lot of hand movements. They talk about hand movements, the power of hand movement, when to use hand movement, body language. They talk about facial expressions, how to hold your face when you're talking about certain topics. But think about it. You're training a narcissist, because that's what a narcissist does. They watch, and then they go in the mirror, and then they practice. That's why the lady suggested to the viewers, turn off the volume and watch the facial expressions of the coaches, and then you can tell what is mechanical and what is genuine, because a lot of it is almost like those dramatic actors that just they're dramatic, and that's how narcissists are. They're very dramatic. But as I go back to the topic again, they use those kids, and they use those they use tones, they use everything in communication skills that they use tones, they use facial expressions, they use touch. Every word that they say to your kids are calculated words, are strategically thought out words. There's nothing that they say to them just to say. You know, we talk to our kids, we laugh and joke. We don't strategically think of what we're gonna say unless, you know, they're in trouble. And now you got to play I Spy, you know, with these kids, Inspector Gadget with your kids, you know, because, you know, your kids are the best. You know, you got to break this crime scene, and you got to go in and do this investigation, because you know you got to interrogate your own kids, because you know they lying because they done ate the last cookie. So now you got to investigate and interrogate your kids to get them to tell the truth. But as I was saying, hold on a minute. I got a reflection on the wall. See the reflection back there? It's from the window outside. But anyway, get distracted. But anyway, but you know, but everything that they do with your children is intentional. And they practice on those kids. Facial expressions, body movements, touch, buying them gifts. You know, think about all the things that the kid, they will go through the kids to injure you. You have to learn not to react. You have to learn not to talk evil about the narcissist in front of your children, because then you look like the bad guy. When these kids go and visit their parents, you already know that there are certain things that's being said to the kids. They may not look directly at the kids, but them and or their new supply will also talk about you, about how you do certain things, and I can't believe, and she doesn't care, or he doesn't care, and they won't do this, and I can't believe, and oh my gosh, let me do this for you, and you know that you're a good parent. You know, don't worry about that. You know, if they want to do an investigation, let them do an investigation. Let them come to your house. They'll see that you're a good parent if you're a good parent. You know, and so hopefully this has helped you. You know, some of you guys that are going through with adult kids, you know, some of you guys with adult kids, some of the adult kids are narcissists now. They have grown up into narcissists and they're abusing you. And so the same thing that you have to do is hard and is painful, but you even have to go no contact with your own kids. And you have to, you know, you love them, you talk to them, you know. Yes, but when you start noticing that manipulation, you start noticing you got to cut that off, because those are your kids. But if it's deadly and they're threatening you and you feel like you're going to be harmed by your own children, it's best to go no contact. You still have to save yourself, because a narcissist is a narcissist. Even the narcissist that we're talking about is somebody's kid, you know. And so think about it. If they're doing you like that, imagine what they're doing their parents like. And so some of you are parents of the narcissist, and some of you are the lovers or intimate partners, or were, of the narcissist. But the narcissist is somebody's child. You know, think about it. So if they're handling you like that, imagine what they handle their own family like. A narcissist is a narcissist, and they can be deadly. They can be brutal. They're very destructive. There's nothing good about them, period. Nothing good about them at all. These individuals are empty. They have empty souls, black souls. They have no emotions to, you know, what you feel is not genuine at all. And they will use your children to come after you. You know, like I said, you know, talk to the DV advocates, see how much they know about narcissist abuse. Invite them to watch these videos. You got all these other coaches on there that you can watch all their videos. You know, whatever it is that they need to listen to educate them about narcissist abuse and the psychological damage and maneuvering and chess games that they're playing, even with the kids. Do not react. Talk to your kids. And you know, it may get to a point where the child will ask you, what's wrong with mom? You know, what's wrong with dad? You know, well, you know, sometimes people have emotional problems, you know. Now, if they're teenagers or they're older, invite them to watch the videos, you know, and invite them to watch that video, this video, you know, but invite them to watch the video. So, you know, no reaction. Go talk to DV advocates. Keep notes, keep records, watch the behavior of your children. You know, if something's not right, take them to counseling. You know, take them to counseling. Ask them if they understand child trauma. There are professionals out there that specifically deal with child trauma, you know, and emotional damage and trauma. You know, let someone document it. Take them to counseling and let someone document it, okay? And then from there, you make your moves. Talk to law enforcement officers, talk to DV counselors, talk to advocates, talk to the YWCA. You don't know what's out there. You don't know what they do and do not know. Go talk to them and see what they say, you know, to safeguard your children. Tell them your concerns. You know, I'm concerned. You know, there is a lot of psychological manipulation going on, you know, and some of them will blow it off. Well, if there's no physical abuse, but that's dumb, because they don't know. They don't know. No, but go and ask questions, okay? Excuse me. Go and ask questions. and then let me know. That'll help me make videos too, okay? So hopefully this has helped you guys. Thank you so much for your support. If you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. You can also go to my Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. Hit the like button, and on the YouTube channel, when you subscribe, hit the bell so you know whenever I upload new videos. And also, whenever I come on live on Sundays between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is West Coast time. And I come also that we can chat, and you guys can come and ask me whatever questions you'd like to come and ask me. I usually pre-record during the week and then give you guys topics to think about. Thank you guys so much for your support over my book. Go to Amazon. You can put in Carmen M. Bryant. It's a white book with blue on the side, but it has a man in the front with a mask on his face, and it's Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. Or you can put my name, Carmen M. Bryant. It should show up. For those of you that are out of country that are having problems with getting Amazon to ship to the other countries, you can go to www.westbowpress.com. Look underneath, hit the little arrow that's underneath this video, and I'll have that information in there for you, and I'll put a link maybe that you can click on it for Amazon and for Westbow. But on Westbow, you can go to the bookstore. It has bookstore, and on the left side it'll have bestsellers, and on the right side it'll have new releases. I'm under the new release, and it is Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. It's narcissist abuse, abused by the esteemed. Who are the esteemed? The esteemed are those people that people esteem in the community, that can't believe that they could do something like that, that will fight you. You know, people, the flying monkeys or people in society say that it's not possible that this individual could be like that. That's not true. But yet these are the stories of the women of these esteemed elite people, or these esteemed people within the community that would give the shirt off their back, that would give their last dime out of their pocket, that will, kiss babies, hug people, and wave. You know, these are people that give money to support agencies, and they'll even support domestic violence agencies and everything. But when they come home and that mask comes off, the women and the children are at home living in pure hell. They're living a daily nightmare, and each one of them went through something different. You know, each one of them, psychological abuse, the abuse of their children. Remember, this video here, actually, not the video itself, the concept of it is actually in the book, at how the woman was abused through her children, where the narcissist threatened to hurt the kids to force the woman to do something. You know, these high-speed car driving in order to scare, that trauma bonding, in order to scare the individual. Things like humiliation, snatching a person out of a shower and holding them in front of a balcony, naked, in order to humiliate them in front of family members, humiliating them in front of friends and family, elite women in elite places that were fooled by these individuals, pulled out of their positions, or having health issues, things that were said to them in their youth by not knowing, by grandparents and parents, the seeds that were planted in them that resonate. That's why I tell you, fathers, it's very important what you say to your girls, what seeds you plant in the young ladies, because that would be a compass in their life. They're gonna always, either unconsciously or consciously, unconsciously normally, look for a man that was like their father. And if they had an absent father, they go look for things. They look for a father, always constantly looking for their father. They're looking for confirmation. They're looking for someone to care for them. And so you guys, men, you guys are very relevant when it comes to young women. And so this book here actually explains and goes in detail with some of the things that these women have been through. And so I want you guys, men and women both, to purchase this book. Thank you guys so much for your support. And as my friend always says, go and be great.